live? Are we live? All right, we are officially live. Let's go. Making sure the two Roosters hat is in the. I love how I still have the.
That's what the kids do, I think.
Leave the top one on.
I'll leave the top one on. I don't know about the price.
Shelby, do the youths leave stickers on?
You leave stickers on the top of the hat still, Shelby? Kind of, sort of, maybe. Remember, we're old, Shelby. That's how it works. All right, you ready to go? Let's do this. Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias. We are at Two Roosters at the factory in Wake Forest. Jared is here, owner of Two Roosters. What's up, man?
Hey.
Here, let's tell you what. That's not the super hot mic, so we got to bring that thing over to you. Move it over ever so slightly.
It's a super cold mic. Oh,
hey, there we go. Joe's got the super hot mic today. That's what's up. All right, so
I'm only allowed to have this because I'm sober.
Good.
The trusted, but this mug from Two Roosters. Every time I get something from you, I'm like, it's
Joe,
the best.
Joe, it's the hot mic, but you gotta.
I'm on it.
You gotta be on it.
Look at this.
See, that's
How's
how
that?
you do it. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So you blew it out this week. Like International Ice Cream Time is on Saturday, but you're doing it the whole thing this week.
Yeah, you were like, we should celebrate our birthday, which we do on National Ice Cream Day, third Sunday in July.
Yes.
This year we went big. We're like, let's just do a whole week.
Okay,
birthday.
that works.
So here we are.
That works. So what do we got coming up at the factory today? I mean,
So
you literally just opened. We're now live on YouTube.
Yes.
So what do we got coming up today, man?
So you guys are the hot commodity today. So thank you.
It is hot.
Yeah. And then we have Grayson McCall, incoming QB for state, coming in, sign a few autographs, and then Abby Lampy, she's queen. And and we got a sports flight. We got some really interesting flavors.
So she's cheese champion.
She is the cheese. Abby has a flavor, right?
And you got fancy, didn't you?
Turtle cheesecake.
Turtle cheesecake?
Yeah.
Dang, that sounds nice. So what is in the sports flight exactly?
Oh, now you're testing me.
I mean, I can pull up the social media if I need to.
Well, I don't remember now. Let's see. Well, turtle cheesecake.
Yeah.
Dill pickle sorbet.
Ooh. Okay.
We got Woolly Bull Tracks, which is over at the Durham Bulls.
Yeah. And Woolly's going to be here, right?
Yes. Woolly and Abby will be here.
Awesome.
And then we got a soccer flavor. It's like a riff on cookies and cream. Is that it?
Is that the penalty kick?
Yes. Penalty kick. You know of it.
Hey, man. I did my research.
Yeah, man. You're on it.
I mean, I was only at the Lake Boone location on Sunday checking out a bunch of stuff, which I did have the non-dairy cookies and cream. Is non-dairy available at all the locations?
It is.
Okay.
It's a niche. It's a niche.
I tell you what, man, for somebody who is not, I have a very problematic relationship with dairy. So on a random, it's complicated. It's complicated. So on like a random Sunday with the Junior Canes team that I'm now the team manager of, which Joe just loves hearing about. I saw that non-dairy. I'm like, it's 2:00 in the afternoon on Sunday. Do I really want to wreck the rest of my afternoon? I mean, it's worth it. Don't get me wrong, because your peanut butter flavors are fantastic. But I'm like, let me try this non-dairy and see how I feel. Dude, I didn't believe that was non-dairy. That's excellent. Yeah. So what goes into that?
So Oatly, most people know Oatly.
Yeah.
The alternative. That's the base, and then a ton of vanilla, and then the gluten-free Oreos.
They're gluten-free.
So they're dairy-free and gluten-free.
Okay, that works.
Check the box all the way around.
That works.
We ran the Ethernet cord back through the kitchen into the office.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my restraint that I didn't take all of the Shibumi Blue Moon and just
put it in your veins.
Ice cream in the veins, baby.
That's where it's at.
I texted him before I had the initial Shibumi run.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I going to like this? I thought, because, the pink animal cracker one was my other favorite. I had my Harry Met Sally moment.
You were about that one.
I was like, I'll have what she's having.
That's true.
But it was like a 6-year-old?
Yeah. No, she was like 4. She was super young. And of course, person is packed.
Yeah.
And I'm in line, and there's a little bit of pressure when you order, like even though you can get any kind of sample that you want here, it was great on your part, of course. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, I'm committing. I'm just going to commit and get the pink animal cracker. And she looked at me and I'll have these. It's good.
So every day at the Two Roosters locations, you guys have been having some sort of, birthday event. And it all culminates on Sunday. Or on Sunday.
Sunday, National Ice Cream Day.
And that's at what location?
That'll be at Greystone, North Raleigh.
Okay.
We're doing a ice cream truck rodeo.
Okay.
So we're bringing out our whole fleet.
Do you know of anybody who's shown up to all the Two Roosters locations so far this week?
Yeah, we have, I think, pushing 100 people that are vying for the T-shirt.
Just one T-shirt?
Yeah.
You're just giving out one T-shirt for everybody who is going to every single event.
Passport stamp, you get a one-of-one T-shirt.
And all I asked was the first listener to show up to Two Roosters here at the factory. You will get the first hat. Okay, to a non-corporate champion, you will get a hat if you so choose. But yeah, we got the white dad hat, which is what West Durham is all about, and then the trucker hat, which I know people will be happy about. That's why I said the first listener who shows up to the factory and claims it, which I think we already have one. There we go. They're already here at 2:06.
Let's go.
After when the show is over, I'm gonna have to go to literally pop the trunk, and we'll give it to you.
That's what we mean, government, by access to those hats.
Access to.
We didn't buy those hats to resell them.
Nope. No. It's access to.
That's not what happened.
If there is a charitable donation that goes to the OG Foundation, so be it. So be it. You know, that's how it works.
Jared, how did you get your start, man? I'm hearing you say Northstone, and then I know Person, and we know the OG Epicenter, Greystone, and I know the OG Epicenter on Lake Boone. And man, how'd you do this?
Yeah, well, we started with the trucks that I mentioned earlier that we're bringing out on Sunday. So we started with the truck. Food truck craze was going wild. 2015. So landed in a truck and then opened the first store, which is Greystone. And then the first day we were open, the line was down the parking lot. It was wild. And I cried. And we basically added a store every 18 months.
Was it the OG flavors?
Some of the OGs like coffee bourbon, jam. It was there day one.
That's great.
Yeah. So people knew
people
from the
knew
jump.
Yeah.
All right. What goes into the flavors of the month, man? And at what point will you get tired of me having a flavor of the month and texting you and saying this really should be on the menu regularly? I don't understand, why isn't this not on the menu regularly?
Well, I am inspired from all over the place. So I actually really appreciate those texts. Okay. So keep the flavors coming, man. But no, what we do is we have a big planning meeting in the fall, and we kind of throw out some ideas for our themes. And so once we land on a theme like Kid Chef or fall flavors, then we go to work on those actual flavors.
Okay.
So fill in the gaps. So
obviously Shibumi, locally inspired here, and it's blue, the color.
Yeah, so July is summer. So we're like, well, what's more summer than Shibumi at the ocean? You know? And it helps that the guys are local. So yeah.
How about this? I feel like my friends at the News and Observer suggested an OG flavor with New Jersey and Cuban/South Florida influences.
You'd have to do some sort of dulce de leche ice cream with pastrami.
Taylor ham, potentially.
Look, you've done some pretty ridiculous flavors. I mean, you could try to do a Cuban sandwich flavor.
I mean, don't tempt me.
You already
with
did.
Or without pickle.
You already did the pickle.
It has to have the pickle.
Yeah. So I guess that would be the case. Can you kind of combine the pickle with a little bit of mustard to it? I don't know how you want to mimic a ham flavor in ice cream, but I mean, it's stranger things happen. But if I were you, you could do a tres leches. You could do a dulce de leche. I'm trying to think what would combine the Jersey in there. What's a Jersey delicacy?
On the sweet side?
On the sweet side.
Would I have to think about
Is there like a dulce de leche cheesecake?
No, do you know what's big right now?
What's that?
No, I'm being serious.
Yeah, what?
Because when I was in the city, the pizza place that I was told to go to, were serving melon olive oil gelato. Olive oil is like a thing, right? It's having a moment.
Okay.
Because you do olive oil with sea salt.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
On the ice cream.
That makes sense.
That's a thing, that people are doing right now.
Okay.
Including a establishment across from the train station that I do like, but they don't give us any money.
They're not a corporate champion, so we're not going to reference it. All right, so we're going to workworkshop the OG flavor.
The OG, yeah.
There's nothing sweet from New Jersey, so
you, Joe. Debatable. Okay.
Depends on the day.
I mean, nothing.
Depends on the day. Oh, geez, from Paul, calamari cannoli.
Oh, cannoli, yeah.
You could do cannoli. So you could do like a dulce de leche cannoli. You could put like the
pistachio
throw
it in there.
The actual pastry bits in there. Because you already do waffle cone here. So you could probably
similar.
You can do something like that. That might work. So you know what? We're going to workshop that. We're going to workshop that. Yep. Hey, man, in all sincerity, thanks for jumping on with us. We love having you on as a corporate champion. Look at us. We clearly are people who
found your
enjoy
demo.
food. We enjoy food. We have kids. They love ice cream. It's the middle of the summer. I can't think of anything better than having ice cream in the middle of the summer, like I did with the Canes team earlier in the week. So
can I say 2 last things real quick?
Yeah.
One, congrats on making top 5% podcast, like you mentioned it.
Yeah. When you look at the numbers and all that stuff,
Yeah.
yes, we end up being
Amazing.
in the top 5%.
Good
right?
on y'all. Last question. I'm going to ask you one. Savannah Bananas or Harlem Globetrotters?
I do like how the Bananas include the crowd, and you can record an out with the crowd.
Yeah.
I do like that.
That is.
But obviously, when I grew up, I'm going to say the Globetrotters.
Yeah.
But it's got to be like Curly Neal and the old Meadowlark Lemon Trotters, not the new.
That's a tough.
Mixtape Trotters.
That's a tough one because the Globetrotters, I feel there's a level of like basketball trick shot that I enjoy. Right. I feel like the Bananas, when I'm watching the Globetrotters, there's still basketball being played. Whereas with the Bananas, I feel like I'm going to a Broadway representation of what a baseball game would be. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah,
and look, baseball needs eyeballs. So if you take a kid to a Savannah Bananas game and they fall in love with baseball that way, cool, more power to you. But I feel like we're about to take a dance break in the middle of an inning. I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm not going to yuck you yum. Don't get me wrong.
Stephen Bochco. Yeah.
Cop Rock baseball
Well, I'm
edition.
going N1, so I'm going old school. So I'm going to 3rd place.
I love that. Anyway, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for having us out. I'm sure.
Where are we today? Because
The factory.
where are we today? Because I've never really been out here.
Oh, see. Yeah, I was going to say, tell me that Gilio doesn't have kids of a certain age that are playing sports without telling me. And that's the thing with the factory, man, because you've got indoor soccer. You got obviously hockey.
Laser tag.
Laser tag is there. I know there's a hot spot for NCFC as well.
Baseball fields.
Yeah, because they got the baseball fields out there.
I've never been out here, so all I did was came down Capitol.
Yeah.
I turned right on Main Street, and here we are. I mean, there's a lot of stuff over here. There's the Mexican place right next to us.
Yeah,
and there's a
Gonza.
Village Deli. I love a Village Deli.
Yeah, Gonza Village Deli. There's all sorts of stuff here.
There's a beer place right behind us too.
Yeah, but they don't spend money on us, so it's all good. No, it's all good. Sumit, Lone Rider, they're good people.
Okay.
Lone Rider's a good spot. So yeah, that's all that's here at the factory. I mean, there's like one of everything here. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, this place used to be an old. You guys took over the old Slices and Ices,
Yeah,
right?
going old school.
I was
Pizza
gonna
and ice
say,
cream.
yeah, it was a pizza and ice cream place. 2 things you love. So
Pizza in the Jersey
Okay.
ice cream.
you guys have done pizza ice cream in the past.
We have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Intriguing. A lot of samples, not a lot of buying.
I love that. All right, Jared, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us out. All right, let's do a little housekeeping here. We'll do some camera reworks and all that stuff, and then we'll
to the world.
and then
Yeah, I'm rocking it, man. It's a
rocking
nice
it.
fit too.
we do have to come up with a new shirt. We've been workshopping that one. All right, Joe, which mic do you want to go on? Are you going to hold the mic or are you going to place a mic?
As long as it's not the super hot, I'll hold
Yeah,
it.
well, if we're gonna cut off the super hot mic, so don't worry about it. So just go ahead and hold it, and we're good to go. Let's do a little housekeeping before we get into the news of the day. Luke DeCock's going to join us from the News and Observer at around 2:40 to talk about the Canes contract crunch. I think they've officially said good. I actually saw the social media post from the Hurricanes. Goodbye to Evgeny Kuznetsov. The Birdman's flying away. Looks like they settled with Jack Drury on a 2-year deal.
Smart.
Which was very, very smart, which also gets me to think, well, I mean, I can't imagine that Marty Natchez is too far behind. And hey, what about that Seth Jarvis deal?
How about
ladies
him?
and gentlemen? Meanwhile, there's been a lot of news in relation to college realignment. Greg Sankey roasted not only FSU, but in an indirect way is roasting Texas. Like, hey, this ain't the Big 12 anymore, guys. You don't have a run of this league anymore. We do things a little bit differently here. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. But let's get into a little housekeeping. That's brought to you by Inovana. Since I've got the Roadcaster, we're going to have to sing the jingle, Joe.
When you have mess inside your mansion or trash inside your cabana, get it green clean with Inovana.
Check them out online, ENOVANA.com. Green Cleaning solutions. So we've been talking to you about showing up to Roosters today. The free hat is already claimed if you were interested in that. But if you do come out, I can literally pop the trunk and we can negotiate how you can get a hat. We will be at ACC kickoff next week.
Yeah.
For Wednesday, Thursday.
I think I got our ice cream plan down.
We got our ice cream plan, which I'm very, very excited about. We'll also be at Crank Arm Brewing on July 28th. That'll be a lot of fun. The OG Summer Jam. We'll have access to hats. We will have koozies. Access to. Koozies will be free and give away stickers, all that kind of fun stuff. So be sure to check that out. And, of course, we got the Podcast Festival. Every time we mention the Podcast Festival, we are moving tickets, ladies and gentlemen. So go ahead and get on that now. Big thanks to our friends over at Breeze Through for being the presenting sponsor of our podcast festival. It's going to be us, Hand in the Dirt. I'm going to be crashing with Felder next week. So we'll come up with a little bit of podcast.
I still haven't made my plans for next week.
Okay.
Why would that change?
Well, how is that going to change? Just be there by 10:30. That's our first interview.
Well, we got our schedule. So I knew I could leave super early on Wednesday. So that's good. So I just need somewhere to stay on Wednesday.
Okay. I mean, talk to Felder.
I can make it work.
We can spoon. So
there's a Marriott thing like right across from where the Hornets play.
I think so. Yeah.
That's usually pretty readily available.
Yeah, I think that's the case. And again, big thanks to Breeze Through for sponsoring the podcast festival. Go to therialto.com to get your tickets today. Shutdown Fullcast is going to be in the house. It's going to be a lot of fun. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority for sponsoring us. Check them out, bugsbite.com, Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. I had to take care of my mouse problem because the cats refused to do it. So be it. I can't evict them because the kids like the cats. So I'm going to have to contact bugsbite.com. More importantly, this time of the year, as hot as it is, you're trying to hang outside. You don't want mosquitoes bothering you. They do a really, really good job with that. And big thanks to Longleaf. Check them out, longleafswine.com. I was at Longleaf yesterday. It is peak heirloom tomato time. They have a tomato sandwich and they have a heirloom tomato BLT, which I had yesterday. But I don't know if Adam and Mark are going to appreciate this, but I'm going to relay this story. So yesterday, one of the specials was the fried okra.
Okra.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big fan of fried okra. And I was out with Caleb and Jacob last night, and they always get the burger. I saw Skinny last night. Did you? Skinny was at Longleaf last night. So Skinny's like talking about Andrew Carter, the News and Observer. And Andrew's like, so I've not been here before. What do I get? And I said, look, man, I get it's a barbecue place. Get your barbecue. It's cool. The brisket's good. The brisket melt was on the menu last night. Really, really good. But get the burger. He's like, I'm coming to a barbecue place to get a burger. I'm like, well, it's made with the brisket and other goodies. Try it. So I went in to get some to-go containers or whatever, and I came back out, and Andrew just holds up the burger and just makes a face like, yeah, man, this is really, really legit. I'm like, I told you I'm not going to steer you wrong. But here's the endorsement for the fried okra. Caleb, 16, doesn't do veggies like a typical 16-year-old. I'm like, dude, just try it. Just try it. Comes with a little rumala. Just try it. Takes one bite. He eats into it and just goes, wow, I like something that's actually green. This is effing good. See, there you go. I got the endorsement from the 16-year-old who doesn't do veggies. So shout out to Longleaf. Again, we appreciate them being a corporate champion for Ovius and Giglio. It's time for your favorite phrase of the summer, Joe. There's a lot to get into today, and I'm not being facetious. There's actually a lot of interesting things to get into today. It's been a very newsy 24 hours, Joe. So let's actually start with I find this hilarious, and it actually is a good representation of how Florida State and the state of Florida is just one big clown show. So yesterday, the Attorney General of Florida, Ashley Moody, tweeted this out. Following action by my office, the ACC will provide or produce secretive media contracts that are at the heart of the legal battle between the conference and FSU. This agreement is a win for the state of Florida, FSU, and transparency. Of course, the ACC has been fighting this because their argument is there's a lot of trade secrets in this. Contract details, XYZ. Nobody wants this out. This is not just the ACC, by the way. You're making a face, Joe. You will have time to explain why you are making your face, just for context purposes. Florida State has tried to position this as though the ACC is being super, super secretive. There's something in there that they don't want to get out that will ultimately let them out of the ACC.
Whereas the ACC, ESPN, the SEC, and the Big Ten, and other industry insiders that I've talked to have said, yeah, no, we don't want that out, because once the ACC gives away those trade secrets, other schools not in the ACC are going to start poking around going, well, wait a minute. What about our arrangement with the Big Ten? What about our arrangement with the SEC? There's a lot of stuff in there that Fox would like to know, right? That NBC would like to know. So everybody involved with this does not want this to get out, because it doesn't do anybody in the business any good. All right? So the ACC put out a press release yesterday. They're like, yeah, fine, we get it. We'll release what we need to release. Our friend David McKenzie, our in-house ACC lawyer expert, tweeted this out, because they finally put out the information. Look at what Ashley Moody demanded from the ACC, and then compare that to what she is getting. Contracts with Disney? Nope. Market analysis? Nope. Communications with ESPN? Nope. Budgets? Nope. Other contracts with Disney or ESPN? Nope. ACC ESPN deal? Not really, as it will be heavily redacted and probably tell her nothing. Again, charade. ACC stood its ground. Moody capitulated. That's the way it's being spun. And I feel like this is an encapsulation, Joe, of what's been going on with Florida State, the ACC, and really college as a whole. Florida State is on this warpath to get out of the ACC, and they don't care how they look. And they're going to spin every little thing to make it look like they're winning. I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast. I was listening to Bud Elliott and Danny Cannell, who do great jobs, but like people would accuse us of having a little bit of a soft spot for triangle schools, they have a little bit of a soft spot for Florida State. And
sure.
I was yelling at my radio listening to this podcast as they were trying to spin everything that made a lot of sense that would go against Florida State into, well, we don't know where things are going to be. Well, we don't know about this. This is just what people say. You noticed, this is the key part from Bud Elliott that I thought was interesting about the report from Brett McMurphy, where they said that, hey, nobody's really interested in Florida State right now, in expanding with Florida State. And by the way, Florida State has acted in a way that shows you they're not a good partner. Bud Elliott's point was, well, and he was right when he said, well, you noticed who he got those quotes from. They didn't come from the SEC. They came from Big Ten sources as it related to Florida State being a bad partner or acting not in good faith. What did Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, do yesterday, Joe? Did you catch this?
I did not.
He did an interview with 1010XL. I believe they're out of Jacksonville, a commissioner that talks to radio stations. So Sankey said, yeah, Georgia was a team that probably belonged in the college football playoff last year, but you didn't see them jumping up and down talking about how they were wronged and everything else. They just accepted it. I'm like, who could they be talking about? You tell me that the commissioner of the SEC is roasting a school that could potentially want to be a part of your conference? I don't know about you, Joe, but that sounds to me like a commissioner that looks at Florida State and goes, man, y'all are a clown show right now. Would you interpret it that way?
Our skepticism with Florida State all along has been, where do they end up and who wants them? Mm-hmm. Now, we can make a lucent argument that the Big Ten would benefit from Florida State. But I'm not sure the Big Ten, after getting Oregon, Washington at a discounted rate, is interested in cutting in an equal partner in Florida State and or Clemson.
No.
Right?
No.
So I think Florida State's issue now is so much of their attention has been getting out.
Yeah.
But they need to focus on where they're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
How do they do that? How do they make that work?
I will give credit to Bud Elliott in listening to the last episode of Cover 3, and that I think he's finally come around to something that you and I have been talking about for a while. I think everybody agrees that Florida State wants the hell out of the ACC. Yes. That's the end goal. That's what they want. That's what they're seeking. And I wouldn't be surprised if, again, this is me going into pure speculation mode. I wouldn't be surprised if Monday we get some sort of disruptive thing from Florida State to kind of stick it to the ACC right before. The day
they'll be in Charlotte for media day, the kickoff.
Not only are they there, Florida State's there, but the commissioner has his press conference at 1:00.
Yeah.
Quick programming note. Monday's podcast will be live Monday after the commissioner's press conference wraps up. Live reaction, man. Got to do what we got to do. So anyway, they want out, hell or high water. So if the Big Ten doesn't seem all that interested in you, because do they really want to go to 20 teams? And Florida State doesn't want to take
that number bothers them.
Well, then that gets to the other part. Does Florida State want to take a discounted rate?
There.
No, they don't. And then as the SEC's actual bargaining chip with ESPN, I saw this floated to me by a listener. I think it was on YouTube or maybe via email saying, the SEC can say what they want to say, but ultimately ESPN is the one that's going to have a say. And that's correct if we believe that television networks are the ones that are kind of dictating where things are going.
Why wouldn't you believe that?
Totally believe it. But I think the misconception is that ESPN and the SEC think that the better television deal would come through the expansion of the SEC by adding Florida State. No, the better TV deal comes from the extra conference game. It's giving you more opportunities for Texas and Georgia to play, more opportunities for Oklahoma and Alabama to play. That's their bargaining chip, not adding extra teams.
And when does TV decide, what people really want to see? They want to see the Big Ten versus the SEC to open the season.
Are you talking about an alliance, Joe? Some sort of SEC Big Ten challenge that gets split up between Fox and ESPN? Weird, right? That's where they have their brands. I mean, I really don't know how else to say it. They have their brands. So I just don't see that happening, which then gets to what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, and that is Florida State finding a way to utilize the private equity money to cut a check to the ACC, go on their own, arrange some sort of scheduling arrangement with the Big 12. Obviously, they'll keep playing Miami. So there's a couple of games that are already baked in. Florida, Miami, there's your 2 games. You can get 5 games easily, maybe 6 with the Big 12, like an ACC Notre Dame type of scheduling arrangement. And then essentially you wait it out to whatever iteration happens with college football next, which gets to the other line item.
But does that help Florida State make the playoff if they have a scheduling arrangement with the Big 12 rather than be in the Big 12 where they could win the Big 12 and get an automatic bid?
I'm glad you brought that up because that gets to the other item that's coming out of SEC Media Days. We haven't even had the first college football playoff game yet. Of the new format, the 12-team format. And coming out of SEC Media Days, we're already dealing with questions as to whether or not this is the right format. Nick Saban's been making the media rounds now that he's part of the broadcast, talking about, I want the 12 best teams, not conference champions, not automatic buys, not any of that stuff. I want the 12 best teams. ESPN started the week with the SEC kickoff. They're not going to do this with the ACC next week. I can tell you right now. But they started the week with how many SEC teams will make the college football playoff. So if we're already questioning what the format's going to be before we've even had the format, because you've been saying this, can we get some data? What's the college football playoff going to look like in the 12-team expansion, right? So if Florida State understands this, that there are already people who are not happy with the format, who's to say they can't take advantage of that with a 12 best teams and they can schedule their way into it?
I was going to say, though, in the ACC, if they made the deal where they got 2 spots guaranteed every year, I mean, how many years are Florida State and Clemson not going to be one of those 2 teams? And how many years will they be both of those teams?
Yeah.
Like, that's, to me, is what has to be the ACC throws back to them. What do you care? What do you really care about? Like, because last year it's hard, right? Like, that's a perfect storm against them. Well, we didn't get in because of the ACC and the strength of the ACC. No, you didn't get in because your quarterback got hurt.
Yeah,
against a 1AA team,
right?
Who, by the way, you were struggling with at the time, which is why your quarterback was straining to get a first down.
That's fair.
So, I think you have to look at it like, what are your advantages? And again, if you're Florida State, you have to stop thinking of how do we get out and start thinking of what do we do once we get out?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they have a great plan. I think they just thought, because remember, we get all these charts and tweets and all, quite frankly, I'm in a kid-friendly area, so I'm going to watch my language today. Quite frankly, it's nonsense.
Yeah, I got you.
Right? They give you these TV viewer numbers, like, here's the 3 million club. And almost all of the games are the Labor Day showcase games.
Right.
Like, when you play Jacksonville State at home, who you lost to, by the way, that's not a 3 million viewer game. I've been in your stadium when you've played a ranked NC State, and it's not sold out.
I was going to say nobody's
okay? There. So it's not you. It's the time slot. Oh, and also, by the way, like when we play Notre Dame, it's like, oh, man, it's amazing. When everybody plays Notre Dame, that has a pulse. It's amazing.
I mean, I remember
TV-wise.
2016 when NC State was bragging about having already sold out their season tickets.
Well, why was
that? Why was that, Joe?
It was a record until last year when it was broken.
What's the commonality?
Oh, those 2 years. What happened?
What
those 2
happened?
years?
Oh yeah, Notre Dame came to town. Oh yeah. Anyway, just something real quick before we get to some other items, including Clemson. Want to thank Sleek Fleet. Check them out, sleek-fleet.com. We don't do OG Live without our friends at Sleek Fleet. We're thinking about college football. We're thinking about getting out to the games. You might not have the ability to tailgate. You just want to have an easy in, easy out. You might not have a parking pass. Sleek Fleet can make that work for you. They can't get you to Royal Troon, which we'll talk about in a second, but they could definitely get you to a local football stadium.
They did get you to Pinehurst.
They got you to Pinehurst.
Hey man, one major at a time.
But I don't think they have the. I don't think they have the amphibious boat. They don't have the hovercraft that'll get you across.
Get across the Sound.
I don't think they have that.
Outer Banks.
That maybe they do. You know what? Maybe they've got themselves a monster truck that can get across the Outer Banks Sounds.
Yeah.
I have no idea. So anyway, big thanks to Sleek Fleet. One other item: Post and Courier in South Carolina. They cover Clemson. They got their hands on the argument against the ACC because remember, as much as we're focused on Florida State, Clemson's also involved in this too. And I feel like we can kind of funnel this and break down the ACC issues on three fronts. The first one is Florida State. They clearly want out, straight up. Clemson, I think, is doing their due diligence. I think they kind of see, let's stay a step ahead. If the ACC is not going to be what we are here to sign up for, it's this ACC that includes like 8 teams from conferences that we were not a part of ahead of time. I was like, oh, it's SMU, Stanford, Cal. Now you're going to bring in, I don't know, App State, and you're going to bring in Central Florida. Again, I don't know. Well, then we have to find a way to out ourselves. And part of that, their argument is very Bill Clinton-esque. What was the famous Bill Clinton impeachment trial line?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The other one. It all depends on what your definition of is.
Oh, okay.
Right? All depends on what your definition of is.
I was like, wait a second. That was on my best behavior today.
I know. We are obviously here making sure that we are at a family-friendly vibe, right?
I hear youths.
Yes. So the Post and Courier published a story this past week that examined all this information from their argument from Clemson. And the Post and Courier explained it like this. If the Tigers left the ACC, they wouldn't be a conference institution in the present tense, is, as written in the ESPN deal. According to Clemson's lawyers, the ESPN contract doesn't speak to a school that was a member. Essentially, Clemson's argument is that ESPN conveyed the broadcast rights to games played by a conference institution that is defined in the ESPN contract as a college, university, or other institution that is a member of the ACC. So essentially what they're arguing is, well, how can you convey it if we're no longer a member of the ACC? That is the dumbest argument. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, and the billable hours are the billable hours, but you understand what that language is supposed to mean. We all understand this, right? You can't be a member of a conference without being a member of a conference. Therefore, these things are conveyed to you. If you leave, well, that's what the other stuff is for, the penalties. And what the language that is explicitly in the grant of rights, it says, if you leave, this is what's owed to us. You know, that's a dumb argument.
Do you know what the difference is here? And you know what's happening here?
What's happening?
Dean Jordan, when he put this together with John Swofford, they made a really good deal.
A very good deal.
This was
a very good deal.
But this was a real world legal deal.
Yes.
When these schools think lawsuits, they think the ultimate patsy in the NCAA.
Okay.
Never forget, Carolina won a lawsuit because here against the NCAA, because here in your rules it says if it's available to all students, well, then it's not an extra benefit.
Great argument.
Well, what's the difference between that argument and what Clemson's saying?
I get
the opponent is what it is, and the enforcement is the issue here.
Yes.
This is a real world contract with real world consequences. This isn't the nonsense, the fakery of the NCAA. It's the real thing.
Which gets us to North Carolina as we break things down into categories. Florida State, they want out. Clemson, doing their due diligence, get it. Meanwhile, North Carolina, who I think most people understand is the coveted team, the coveted university in the realignment scenario. Real G's move in silence, right? And I think that's why there was such a reaction a few weeks ago when a member of the board of trustees decided to try to go after Bubba Cunningham to be like, we got to better ourselves, as if Bubba Cunningham doesn't know that, as if Bubba Cunningham isn't actually in a position where he knows that Carolina. It's almost like if you love the university so much, if you're this person on the board of trustees for North Carolina, if you love the university so much, how do you not know your own worth? How do you not understand that the real move is to do what you've been doing, not be so loud and boisterous, because you end up getting clowned the way that Clemson and Florida State have been clowned? So that's where we're at right now. As somebody just pointed out in the YouTube chat, if FSU does go indie, where would they put their other sports? Again, I think this is where the Big 12 comes into play. Brett Yormark, the commissioner, is so crazy enough, disruptive enough, and he would look at it as a win, a feather in the cap of the Big 12 to bring Florida State over, that he would happily, again, work an arrangement that is similar to how Notre Dame worked their arrangement with the ACC. I don't see why people don't see that with the Big 12 and Florida State as they wait things out for football.
Or maybe the reform in the NCAA could get us back to regionalized non-revenue sports.
I would love that.
And having men's, women's basketball, and football compete in these super conferences.
Yeah.
So the travel can be reduced.
One other thing.
In those other sports.
One other thing, and this might be because I'm on an empty stomach and
you haven't had your ice cream yet?
I haven't had ice cream yet.
I haven't either.
I need to have ice cream at some point here. That'll be my lunch/dinner. One other thing to keep in mind, and this actually falls in line with your Giglio irate conference stuff. Part of the reason that Florida State is apoplectic the way that they are right now is because Central Florida, UCF, is part of the Big 12. The new TV deal is going to kick in for the Big 12, which would put Central Florida in a position where they're going to make similar money, theoretically, or around the same ballpark money that Florida State is going. And you're probably wondering, well, what does that have to do with anything? Let me put it in this context for our local audience. Imagine a scenario where ECU wasn't wandering the desert after making poor decision after poor decision, and they were better positioned as a football program and as a university to be a target for the Big 12 adding schools where they are now. How do you think NC State people would take it? Hell, how would North Carolina people take it if ECU, all of a sudden, the school that you've always looked down upon, starts making similar money to you? How would that go over, Joe?
I believe Mac's reaction on the field in real time is we're never playing them again.
So put that in mind. If you want a better insight to why Florida State is acting in the way that they're acting, yes, do they want to catch up with the SEC and the Big Ten? Do they feel like that's how they have to compete, is to make more money? Absolutely. But they're also looking at it in a world where, wait a minute, you're telling me Central Florida, a school that we look down upon, a school that has no business being on the same level as us, is starting to make the same kind of money as us? You would probably be reacting the way that they're reacting right now, too.
I see a comment here.
Yeah.
We're going to get to Luke. All right, James, listen, I know sometimes everyone feels like that the media is out to get Florida State.
Sure.
Yes, Florida State sold out every game last year, and all games this year are sold out. Yeah, when you're running hot, guess what? When everyone's running hot, you sell tickets.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about are the dark years. Everyone has dark years, other than who you want to compare yourself to, right? You want to compare yourself to Ohio State. You want to compare yourself to Texas. You want to compare yourself to Alabama. And those programs don't have those dark years the way that Florida State just went through. That's just the bottom line. Okay? And yes, 16 of the 33. Man, you're talking to a guy who was in college when Florida State got here,
dude,
and they won every game every year.
You and I are old enough to remember that beating Florida State in ACC football was an event. Okay,
yeah.
1998 was an event at Carter Finley Stadium.
They didn't lose at home for a long time.
Yes.
So listen, we're not disrespecting what Florida State has done in those 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have to admit, though, as a Florida State fan, okay, as a Florida State fan, you have to admit you had some down times. And that has affected the ACC, and that has affected the situation that you're in. I'm confident that Mike Norvell can figure this thing out and has figured this thing out, but that doesn't take away or erase what happened in like a 10-year gap after Jimbo into the end of the pandemic, basically.
Yeah.
So again, we're not hating on Florida State. I'm trying to give you a perspective here that when you play when you play NC State, it's not a $3 million, $4 million view game.
No,
those big numbers come from being on the Monday night Labor Day game, which Florida State has been in however many times.
Hey, I just appreciate that the username is Jameis Apologist. You know what?
Jameis, not James.
Not James. I was
my bad.
I was a Jameis apologist too. Still am to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's funny. I love driving around the triangle and seeing where our corporate champions are. You know, like I was at Polar Ice House Garner earlier today. I saw our friends I saw the Matt Davis billboard.
Yeah.
Got Hometown Realty. We got Whitaker and Hammer. But driving over here to Two Roosters, I saw the Butcher's Market Wake Forest location.
I was gonna say they're out here.
They're just out here, man.
Yeah.
Wake Forest got a lot of things. Don't sleep on Wake Forest. So big thanks to Butcher's Market. Check them out. Their various locations, including out here in Wake Forest. You cannot go wrong with the steak tips. I did mention Hometown Realty. Jameis. Real quick on Jameis, man. We get it. We like the interaction. We're not like, no. We appreciate that. No, thanks for chiming in. It's a back and forth. That's why we do this, man. That's what it's all about. Also, big thanks to Hometown Realty for sponsoring us. Check them out. myhtr.com. A lot of new construction out here in Wake Forest. Again,
so much
everything pushes out from Raleigh. A lot of new houses, a lot of new PUDs that are popping up out of nowhere. Hometown Realty can help you out with a lot of that new construction with incentives. So check them out, myhtr.com. Also, big thanks to Whitaker and Hammer. You bought that house. You sold that house. You got to take it to closing. They can do it. Check them out. WH.lawyer. Again, that's WH.lawyer. I think it's time for a hockey break, Joe. Do you want to do my hockey break song since I don't have it on here?
Let's take a break. Let's take a
hockey break.
Brought to you by Happy
Inhale. So check out Happy Inhale locations across the triangle. We got our home base, my home base, the North Hills. There's the Six Forks location out in North Raleigh, location out in Durham. And when the hockey season's back in action, which is sooner than you think, obviously they've got the cart there at PNC Arena. So check them out. Happy Inhale. Download the app, Joe. That's what it's all about, right?
Free smoothie. Once you do, start your account. And then for your birthday, within a month, free bowl.
Does all of Two Roosters get a birthday bowl? It's their birthday.
Two Roosters has a secret pint club, which I forgot to give Jared a hard time about.
Ooh,
I guess if it's a secret,
good stuff.
You have to figure it out.
Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, columnist for the News and Observer, he is Luke DeCock. Luke, what's going on, man?
I just want to make it 100% clear. I am hating on Florida State and their stupid plan to go play live football with Boise State and all their girlfriends from Canada. I mean, this entire what does Florida State do if they win? Right? They're the dog that caught the car. They're going to be. It's this all of these lawsuits, all this wasted time, all the money we're flushing down the toilet, all the boats we're buying lawyers. It's all just so the message board idiots on Florida State's Board of Trustees will stop complaining. That's all this is all about. And then today, Florida's Attorney General claims victory in a settlement where she got redacted document.
She got nothing.
Actually,
he got nothing.
They got nothing. They got clowned. So yes, I'm hating on Florida State. Shut up. Go win something. And I had your back during the whole CFP nonsense. I think Florida State got shafted.
I think it's going to be interesting once we get to ACC kickoff on Monday, how Florida State kind of goes about their business ahead of the Jim Phillips press conference. But we'll find that out on Monday. And you know what? I know you'd be sitting with us if we were at Golden Belt, which is another Two Roosters location. We're out here in Wake Forest. You're a Durham guy. You would have joined us out there, right?
I would have gone by Two Roosters. Yeah, that rain hasn't started yet. You go get a beer from High Wire. And
hey, man, it's all good. It's all good. All right. So the Canes contract crunch seems to have finally started to maybe dislodge itself a little bit. Kuznetsov, they said bye-bye to, which we understood that was going to be the case. Jack Drury, they settled to avoid arbitration. So I'm guessing Natchez is going to be next. And then we'll finally get the Seth Jarvis deal when he comes back from the Sebastian Aho wedding extravaganza. What are we doing here?
I don't know that that's necessarily the order. I think the Jarvis deal could happen at any point. I mean, there's obviously fine points to haggle over, but the shape of the deal is sort of, everybody kind of knows what that's going to end up looking like. 7 years and the money, and now that Kuznetsov has been bought out, the cap space is there to do Jarvis and Natchez. So yeah, I think both of those. The Jarvis deal is going to take a while because it's a lot of money and everyone wants to make sure it's done right. And there's probably going to be some of that wackadoo cap stuff with signing bonuses and all that stuff. But and that takes a while, and everyone wants to make sure they got it right and isn't giving something away by accident. Natchez to me is the interesting one because this is like the trial separation didn't work, and now everyone's got to be back in the same house and pretending like nothing ever happened. And it's just hard to get past the fact that the Hurricanes keep talking about how badly the one piece they needed last year and the one piece they still need, although Jack Roslovich fits the bill a little bit, is a right shot center. And Marty Natchez is a right shot who wants to play center and has not, and will not get that chance here. So it's just a hard hurdle to get over for everybody. I don't think there's any, anything that will prevent him from, fitting back in. He's been here a long time. He knows the scope of the world. Rod Brindamore is not. No one's holding any grudges here. It's a business, and if he's back here, which it looks like he will be, it'll work itself out. I think the one good thing for him and the team is you go back 2 years ago when he had everything to prove. He had a fantastic season. We've clearly seen that a fire can be lit under Marty Natchez, so that probably bodes well. But look, he's not the only player in this second new window of the team that has to have a good year. Like if you redrafted the 2018 draft, Andrei Svechnikov is not going second overall. Yeah. He's got to be better. And it's the same thing for both Natchez and Svechnikov. We know they can do it. This is not a question of what their ceiling is or are they capable or can they do it? It's can they do it 82 games? Can they do it in the postseason? That's the next step for both these guys. It's different levels. Svechnikov's on a different level than Natchez, but they both got us. And look, if you look at 5-on-5 points, and this is kind of the spin you'll get when you talk to people on the team. If you look at 5-on-5 points, so throw out Shea's power play numbers and Teravainen's power play numbers and Nason's power play numbers, the guys coming in and the guys going out, that's kind of a wash. So new opportunities for some guys on the power play. I think Rod will be more inclined to play his first unit 90 seconds instead of splitting it 60-60. You'll load up with Aho and Natchez and Svechnikov and Jarvis and whether it's Burns or Gostisbehere or whoever, and that first unit will play more. But the one piece they didn't get back, the one hole they didn't fill, is that Michael Bunting, Jake Gensel piece. That's a lot of goals. And that's going to have to come from guys who are on the roster now getting better, whether that's Jarvis or Drury or or the new guys like a Carrier or a Roslovich. That scoring has to come from somewhere for this team to get back where it was. And, the goaltending has to sort itself out, which it's going to be Kochekhov's team. Of course, in Hurricanes lingo, that means, 45 games and 35 games, not 80 and 20, like it's Marty Brodeur and Scott, who was Scott Clemenson. It's not going to be like that. So, but yeah, I think we kind of see what the writing's on the wall here. They're the Hurricanes. They could always make a trade or sell salary cap space to Azerbaijan for players or, whatever kind of stuff they come up with. But I think the shape of the roster is pretty much set.
Did you think that either Shea or Pesce departures could have been avoided?
Yeah, I think so. And I think they would have liked to have signed one or the other. But you get back to the philosophy of this team is they are not going to overpay for guys in their mind. And I think the numbers that they had for Shea and Pesce, if you go back to this time last year or last fall, didn't match up with what the players had in mind or indeed what they ended up getting on the open market. But I think the issue, like the Hurricanes are pretty clear about how they go about their business, that they kind of set values. And if you can get in the door at that price, then we'll do it. If not, it's basically what happened in the very first draft when Dundon bought the team to Elias Lindholm and Noah Hannafin.
Right.
Friday night, here are your offers. Do you like them? Take them. If not, we're going to trade you guys tomorrow. Sure you are. Yeah, right. And boom, man, they were gone. They were shipped off to Bill Peters land. So that's the way it works, and it's brought them success. But the flip side is and I've had this conversation with Dundon over the years. That works in business where there is basically an unlimited number of deals you can do, buildings you can buy, companies you can sell, options you can trade. In hockey, there is a limited number of players who are capable of playing at the NHL level. So 700 players. So when you walk away from a Shea or a Pesce, there isn't necessarily another Shea or Pesce there to move on to. And I think, you have to sort of adjust your value system and say, hey, this is a zero-sum game. If we don't have this player, someone else does. And if we have this player, someone else doesn't. I do think they take that into consideration. I'm oversimplifying here. But I think when you get into the bigger numbers at that end of the scale, you may price yourself out of some players who can get more money elsewhere and say, well, fine, they overpaid for that guy. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there's another guy there that you can not overpay for and slide into that role. It's going to be really interesting. There's a hockey website called Evolving Hockey that does salary predictions that are incredibly accurate. They had a value list. The Hurricanes signed like 5 guys from their value list.
Okay.
Like the analytics crossover with their predictions. And the one guy on that list that they didn't sign was the other Sebastian Aho.
I know you're upset about that. There was an opportunity, man. There was an opportunity that we could have had 2 Sebastian
You're
Aho.
gonna do this for the memes. Do it for the memes, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Canes love memes. It was right there. Do it for the social
How
media.
many shirts are you going to sell?
But it's interesting, real quick, because I know Joe wants to follow up on something. But what you're referring to is something that I have been waiting for, and maybe it's playing out this offseason. Because you're right. In the normal business world, we're all replaceable, man. We're prime examples of this. There is a whole level of what is good enough, what's a replacement level, what can you get for a bargain. Totally get it. And this is true about across most jobs.
Our war wasn't good enough. Wasn't high enough.
No, but it's true though. That is true.
Our adjusted war.
It is true. Everybody's
Your war salary graph did not match up.
It's bad.
You're in the lower quadrant.
But at this level, what's funny about sports is that you can't it's like the whole thing that I always found hilarious about Moneyball. Okay, when they did the movie, every sports movie ends how? With the exception of Rocky. How does every sports movie ultimately end?
They have to gloss over it didn't really end the way that you wanted it to end.
Right. Like every sports movie is, oh man, they won. They did it. Wow, amazing. The whole thing of Moneyball was, so you had like a 10-game win streak.
20, yeah.
Cool.
And then you lost in the playoffs again, just like you did with Giambi and
right. The whole point is
not to mention, if we're doing this, I gotta say it. They never mentioned in the movie, hey, they also had 2 of the best starters of their generation who they drafted and won 40 games a year for them.
Right. So sports, the point is to win. And there is sometimes you gotta overspend a little bit sometimes. That's the part that I always find curious about. One other thing. Are you surprised that on today's July 18th, that Freddie Anderson and Kochetkov are still your goalies?
No, because that's kind of the way things were shaking down at the end of the year. I think they really want to give Kochetkov a chance. They love what he did in December. I still think he should have played Game 5. I will go to my grave saying they made a huge mistake not playing Kochetkov in Game 5.
We asked Rod about that last week, and he was very not. Freddie was ready, so we went with that.
I would say there are people within the organization who agree with me, and I think secretly Rod might be one of them. But
maybe.
It's Piotr's team now, and that's fine. We'll see how he does. I mean, he's a different breed of cat, and I think it'll be good for Freddie. Look, Freddie wore down. He didn't play back-to-back games all year, and then they ran him into the ground in the playoffs. It was predictable. Now he's going to play 35 games, maybe 40 games. Not be the guy in the playoffs necessarily. Maybe he plays game 3 of a series. If the Hurricanes make the playoffs, we shouldn't take that as a given this year. I think they will.
Yeah, I think they will.
But there's some uncertainty there that hasn't been there the last couple of years. But no, I look, the options out there to get better than those 2 guys, because Freddie's numbers are still really good despite what happened in the playoffs. There weren't a lot, and now if UC Saros had been willing to move, then you have to do that. But that's not how it worked out. And look, man, the goalies on the market, the guys you could get in trades, free agents, they're not good. You're not getting better.
Yeah.
So you can make a change, but you're not getting better. So no, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, my only thing for Luke was, we've been around long enough now that we've had one of your classmates coach a triangle team.
Yeah.
And now we have a Flyers fan who graduated from an Ivy League school running the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
You don't know any. You never interacted with any Flyers fans from an Ivy League school, did you?
No, not many. It's funny. It's funny. I was talking with Tulsky about this. I got an email from a reader. Not this specifically. I got an email from a reader who wanted to know where he went to high school. A reader who grew up in Philadelphia, and it turns out he went to the same high school as Ruben Amaro Jr. So he's actually at minimum the second general manager who went to that high school. Not a really sterling tenure with the Phillies, but no, it's a very small world. It just seems like there sure are a lot of other people from my school and my sort of general area who have gone on to bigger and better things than me.
Same could be said about me and Joe.
Hey,
I mean, look, man, you guys can do your own self-analysis. I'm just telling you.
I've said this before. Doug Worf, a guy that he and I shared classes together at Nelson Hall at NC State in the College of Management, is now the president of the Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm just podcasting from an ice cream shop in Wake Forest. I mean, we all have our path, man. We all have our path.
Got to run your own race.
You got to run your own race. Right.
And I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. I love what I do, man. I really do. But it is kind of funny how that all works out in the long run. All right, Luke, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later.
Right.
And I guess I won't see you in Charlotte.
I think I'm going to go Monday.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go Monday.
We won't.
We won't. We ain't going to be there. We're going to be doing it from the home base, watching the Jim Phillips press conference. And then we'll be up there Wednesday and Thursday to talk to our local friends. You're very excited to talk to Bill O'Brien.
That's my guy.
Right.
Well,
Speaking of Ivy League grads.
There it is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm never that excited about ACC Media Days. I just feel like that's a relic of the past when people used to not talk about football until Media Days, and now it's like this 365-day cycle. But I have never been less excited about the 12 days of ACC Christmas in Charlotte, because I mean, I just do I care about Cal or Stanford at all?
No. Do they care?
I mean, look, man, I barely care about Virginia.
Turns out they're not coming. I was poking around. 95.7 The Game is not sending anybody. They're just gonna pick up audio from the feed, and that's pretty much it. I was like, oh man, they're actually sending somebody, but no, they don't care.
I mean, honestly, think about it from their perspective, from our perspective, your perspective, fans' perspective. You're better off just sitting at home and watching the thing on ACC Network.
Yeah,
it's all made for TV anyway. You might as well just sit in your chair and.
Yeah, it's all made for television.
I'm anti Media Days. Whatever. It used to be the ADs were there. It was a convention. You could talk to people, and now it's like, it's like standing in line at Disney World.
I mean, as somebody who does
I'm told.
Okay. Maybe that's, you know what? Thinking boys trip. You, me, Julia, we'll go to Epcot, trick around the world, rock your row back. Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right, Luke, we'll talk to you later, man. Hey, what, man? Rowback at Epcot, making the trip around the world? You're wearing your rowback right now. You'd be super comfortable. I could see you doing some shandies in the UK. Yeah?
I had no idea what you're talking about right now. I do know that when I play golf, I have my rowback shirts.
Anyway,
super comfortable.
Use the promo code.
Cool.
Use the promo code OG20 as my friend Alex, who's actually at Royal Troon, said. Stay ready, All Stars right now, everywhere up at the British Open, which we'll get to in a second. So again, use that promo code OG20 as you see Joe's rocking the rowback right now. Incredibly comfortable hoodies. I knew you were wearing a hoodie earlier today.
I was.
So those things are awesome. Absolutely awesome. Also, big thanks to Nature's Relief Hemp Store. Check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF, hempstore.com. You can find what you're looking for at Nature's Relief. We're talking about things that can help you get better sleep, take a little bit off that anxiety. If you're just looking to chill on the weekend, they've got everything from pre-rolls to drinks to gummies. They've got it at Nature's Relief. And again, I can't stress this enough. If you're intimidated, don't be.
Nature's Relief does a really, really good job of making this stuff sound really, really, really simple and kind of guide you along the way of where you need to be. So again, check them out, naturesreliefhempstore.com. And I mentioned it earlier, we were talking about the Big 12. It's the Matt Davis State Farm Big 12, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I saw the Matt Davis
Everyone knows
billboard
that.
at Garner. Yeah, man. That's what it's all about. So give him a call directly. As big as Matt Davis is, that he officially has a conference, you can call him directly at 919-779-8277.
Ask him about the Arizona Wildcats.
Let's go.
New members. Caleb Love, Tar Heel for life.
Tar Heel for life. So big thanks to Matt Davis. Okay, we are a little bit over. We're going to do a little combination Hey Joe / lightning round to do this, but I feel like there's a little workshopping here. I want you to hear some things. So this is the lightning round. You got your usual background, but we're going to make this a Hey Joe. And it's brought to you by Crank Arm Brewing.
Yes.
Check them out, crankarmbrewing.com. Remind you again, July 28th, Joe.
Don't forget, Sunday the 28th.
Start at 1 o'clock.
Downtown, West Davie Street, Butcher's Market.
Yep.
We got food.
Yep.
Crank Arm. They got beer.
Access to
hats. Breeze Through also bringing their amazing food truck.
Yes.
And there's a DJ. So just chill.
So
Come chill.
our guy Brian over at Nice Price, he does the lightning round.
Should I go double ears?
No, that's up to you. That's up to you. So he's got the lightning round music. We're all familiar with this one.
The lightning round.
As you can see, I use some Adobe credits on actual lightning graphics. You like
amazing.
that? You like that? This is the country version.
It's a lightning round. It's the lightning round.
Got that version. Are you ready for the third?
I am ready. I'm also ready to put a corporate logo in that lightning round.
It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Are you ready for the third version?
Yeah.
It's coming down the lightning round. It's the lightning round. It's the lightning round.
That's the Bruce Springsteen version.
That is amazing. But you needed to get him the talk intro.
Yeah. Send lightning. Maybe we do another Bruce version.
It's coming down the lightning round.
Brian does an incredible Bruce.
He's at the piano and it's, Thunder. I wrote Thunder Road. But the OG
does.
Yeah,
The
the
lightning
lightning round.
Hey, Rory, buddy. I mean, everybody
used the lightning round.
Everybody was pulling for Rory coming out of the U.S. Open. He hasn't won a major in a decade. It's Royal. Here we go. And buddy, what's happening, man?
I'm not invested in Rory this week because I am big into if everyone is on your popsicle, there's probably a reason and you're not going to be right.
Yeah.
So, but I did not have him shooting a 78 on my bingo card today.
Okay.
He really struggled. The course was very difficult. Their greens are very difficult. The wind was very difficult. The names that you see on the top of that board are players who are known to play well in difficult conditions, starting with Shane Lowry, who is tied for the lead right now. But Justin Thomas, Nikolai Hoygaard, Justin Rose this morning had an incredible round.
Yeah. So
these are all guys who are known in mutters and scramblers, and this is not a sunny day course. And not that Rory's a sunny day player, but Rory's a guy when he has his fastball, he's better than anyone else.
Yeah.
But when he doesn't, you can see some of that frustration.
Yeah, it's funny. I pulled up the Washington Post and the headline cracked me up. At least Rory McIlroy talked after a brutal first round at the British Open. And the quote actually ties into what you were talking about. The conditions are very difficult in a wind that we haven't seen so far this week. I guess when that happens, you play your practice rounds. You have a strategy that you think is going to help you get around the golf course. But then when you get a wind you haven't played in, it starts to present different options. And you start to think about maybe hitting a few clubs that you haven't been hitting in practice. Yeah, just one of those days when I just did not adapt well enough to those conditions. And I think that's probably why everybody pulls for
Yeah, I mean, he's got plenty of company there at the bottom of the board. You know, Cam Smith's the guy who won this tournament 2 years ago. He's 10 over right now.
Yeah.
You know, Tiger Woods carded to 79 today. Louis Oosthuizen has got one of the purest swings in the world. Had a 78 today and just struggled through it. Akshay Bhatia from here in Wake Forest, he is one of the hottest golfers on the tour. He's struggling today. So it's hard, man.
From LK, I heard Pearl Jam or Creed before I heard Bruce.
Oh, they're cousins.
Ken even saying at the beginning, I thought it was more Eddie than Bruce. Hold on a second. Let me hear that.
It's coming down to lightning round. It's a lightning round. It's a lightning round.
If we had the isolated vocals, I could agree with you.
Yeah.
But those chords are pure born in the USA.
Now,
man. That's
to LK's credit, she has given me a fantastic idea. Not the first time she's given me a good idea. But I feel like I got to ask Brian to do a Creed version. Can you give me lightning? I might work that show at Walnut Creek.
so many options. Poor Brian.
With lightning round wide open.
When the sky's wide open.
He gave me a U2 version. I don't know how I felt about that.
Bono?
Yeah, it was like a Bono version. I told him, like, that needs a little work. But the Bruce
It needs a little
needs
work.
a little work. But the Bruce?
It's a little pitchy, dog.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for our show today at Two Roosters out in Wake Forest at the factory. Big thanks to Two Roosters for being a corporate champion. Big thanks to having us out here. You can come out. They've got Grayson McCall is going to be here at 4 o'clock. Abby Lampy, the cheese queen, she'll be here. You got the sports flight of ice cream, which is going to be really, really good. I think Wooly Bull's going to be out here a little bit later on. And then we're going to be wrapping up things as well. So big thanks to Two Roosters for having us out. Thanks to everybody who listened this week. Next week's going to be a little weird scheduled. We're not going to be on our normal thing Wednesday, Thursday, potentially Friday. Monday will be live after the commissioners forum at 2 o'clock or whenever it wraps up. Tuesday, Dimitri Rabanos is going to be hanging out with us along with Jason Kirk, who's got a book. He's going to be here with Shutdown Fullcast for the podcast festival. You're going to be golfing. And then Wednesday, we're going to be up in Charlotte for ACC kickoff, and that's just going to be a weird schedule. So just kind of go along with it as well. From Ken, can we donate credits to get themed lightning round graphics? Well, I mean, yeah, I thought I used some cool graphics with that. I guess we can use more graphics. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up. We will see y'all next week.